And here we are. So, something that you might find interesting, I know I find it interesting, it is called sea level rise, right? That old climate change shit, which is something we've been aware of. I remember being aware of it as a child, but not really having it in my head. Because at the time, I'm a landlocked Washington State resident at the time. You know, as a child, I live in fucking this place called Spanaway in Washington in Pierce County. And so I remember hearing kids, like other kids talking about, you know, they'd come across shit. Their parents came across shit that like, oh, in so many years, California's going to be underwater, or a lot of it is, or a lot of Florida, Miami's going to be gone underwater. And that's because of the climate change that the oil companies already knew about in the fucking 70s. We know about, if you follow the wine cellar, you know about that shit. You know about Exxon and BP and all them niggas. All right. No need to rehash with this audience. But I still follow it. I still think it's fucking interesting and dangerous and deadly and quite frankly unavoidable at this point. Like, I think that as far as like climate change goes, we have PNR'd, point of no return. Like, now really all you can do is do your best to minimize harm. That's all you got left. That's it. Beyond minimizing harm, we have no thing. All right, so let's take just a real quick what the folks over there down at the Wikipedia say sea level rise is. The three main reasons warming causes global sea level rise are oceans expand, ice sheets lose ice faster than it forms from snowfall, and glaciers at higher altitudes also melt. If precipitation, surface processes, and ice loss at the edge balance each other, sea level remains the same, but there is no balance, right? The glaciers are melting, the ice sheets are slipping in the water, and the water's just fucking warmer. All right. Now, something you might find interesting, what's making the rounds in the news for folks like us is some shit called the king tides. And the king tides threaten roads and cover beaches in preview of sea level rise. All right. So to our understanding, waves hit the rocks at the beachfront homes in North Beach sections of San Clemente as king tide moves on shore Friday morning, January 10th, 2020. And we have an image there on winesolarmedia.com, and those fucking waves crash and they splash all up on motherfuckers' cribs for white people, rich white people who absolutely just have to have a house up against the ocean. Okay? I don't understand that status symbol. Like, you can't like looking at the water the water's not that fucking awesome. It's salt water. You can't fucking drink it. Fuck that water. All right? Keep it clean, but fuck that water. It's not that fucking awesome. I think that's some status symbol classist bullshit. Right? And it's like, not very much of the planet is the beach. So to just, it shouldn't, like, the private property already kind of disgusting as far as the context of land. You know, it's already a little gross. You know, maybe our species should be a wee bit more nomadic. You know, seasons and all that love. But buying a piece of the land that's up against the ocean, and then it's yours, so other people literally can't trespass up against the ocean because it's yours. You get this piece of beach is you. Fuck that. Outlaw that shit. And landlords. Fuck landlords. Tangentially speaking. Now, moving on the king tides, on a stretch of Sunset Beach. That's what they like. We can watch the sunset over the water and be far away from people who work. And where the overfull Huntington Harbor is higher than the Pacific Coast Highway, a pump is ready to keep the road from flooding. And they have an image here of like one of those them semi trucks, like just in that fucking water, like it's covering the goddamn road. So mostly this is going to more heavily affect people with class privilege, but class praxis is going to break the fuck down as climate change breaks the fuck down. Like, really, all the upper class is going to have left is their military. As we move forward, I guarantee you, who's going to want to be a security guard? And then without security guards, who's going to want to be a cop? And then without cops, you're just going to have National Guard, Navy, and Marines in the Army. And the rich are just going to weld the army against the fucking workers. But then at that point, you kill so many workers, you got nobody left to do the fucking work. And then he's be like, you make the army guys fucking eat each other. You know, so yeah, this sea level rise shit, this climate change shit, it all fucking interconnects because our society has to function within it. And another one on sea level rise regarding the beaches is coming off of sacb.com, one of those websites that won't let you view their shit unless you use ad blocker. So if you use ad blocker and you click the link from our website to it, you're gonna probably get denied access until you disable your ad blocker for their website. But we do have a bit of the text so that you can get the gist. And this is by a Monique Myers. And they wrote an opinion for the Sacramento Bee saying that they visited the Karabari as part of a National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration program to train local governments about assessing threats to marine systems as a scientist focused on climate impacts in California. I assumed climate change would be at the forefront of the Karabashians' minds, given the imminent threat of rising sea levels. Surprisingly, I found that although people clearly understood that climate change is happening, many believed they had other, more pressing problems. Our 25 workshop trainees ranked pollution and biological resources as the biggest threats, with climate change a distant third. After living there for a few days, I understood garbage is Garbage is omnipresent on land and in the sea, and the sanitation is lacking. And although curbaceans are threatened by climate change, the daily impacts are not yet as bad as other, more palpable threats. All right, and one that we have some audio from that you're going to hear in here, and that's off the sacb.com. But we have a piece of audio that we pulled from about Fort Lauderdale sewage. Well, actually, no, the one we got is about students. We got students that were that are meeting for a climate summit on sea level rise, and an article by Caitlin Swatowski, and we have the audio pulled for that you can check out. And the last one that we have on winecellarmedia.com, we have it linked up. You can go look at this stuff and get some information. Half of Fort Lauderdale's sewage system isn't waste, and sea level rise makes leaks worse. Sea level rise affecting sewage systems. Expect for some disease to be about due to this climate change shit. And so this a little bit from this article by Alex Harris for the Miami Herald. Fort Lauderdale is soaked in waste after 6 sewage spills from decaying pipes dumped more than 126 million gallons of raw sewage directly into nearby rivers and canals over the last few weeks. That's about the volume of 191 Olympic-sized swimming pools, raw sewage, rivers, and canals. And that's how we're jumping into this 2020 shit, so things gonna be big different. There's gonna be 2020, gonna be different change and stuff. But something important has been lost in the stinking mess. Oh, that's clever. Most of it isn't actually poop or other flushed stuff. More than half of the volume flowing through the city's crumbling sewage infrastructure is actually groundwater seeping in through the many fucking cracks and holes in an aging system. And it's another problem for coastal communities that climate change is making worse. Sea rise is soaking metal pipes in salty, corrosive water, and flooding from more frequent high tides pushes up through the ground collecting the leaked sewage as it floods into streets and motherfucking parks. All right. So it's not the raw sewage isn't just getting into groundwater where you might plant your tomato plant, but it's getting into parks where your kids might play. And it's Florida, so barefoot most likely, and and in the goddamn street where your kids might play. And it's Florida, so barefoot by chance. Climate change is gonna fuck us up. I'm 37 this year. Maybe I'll die before it fucks me up. But we got little homies. Right? We have an 11-year-old in this house. And I guess the best we can do is inform them and give them the right tools to try to survive it as they age up through their adulthood. Because we're going to age off and die, or in my case, I might get served and protected. You know how it is, police. All right. WineCellarMedia.com, PayPal.me/Phoenix and William, Patreon.com/WineCellarMediaFund. Please, motherfuckers, be as safe as possible wherever you is be way.